Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So today we're going to be talking about Godzilla vs. Kong. This is going to be my spoiler review, so you don't have to worry about that. This film stars, a bunch of people, Alexander Skarsgård, Rebecca Hall, Millie Bobby Brown, amongst others. And basically, as you can imagine, this whole film focuses on the two biggest titans, fighting each other in this film. And then we also have kind of like a side plot like going on with it as well. Basically, a group of humans lures Kong into a place called the Hollow Earth, and they're trying to retrieve this energy source in order to stop Godzilla because he's been rampaging throughout the world.
And they're the last ones standing.
I keep reaching for greatness because I'm built from it.
Who bows to who?
Nobody gonna stop me. Here we go.
Kong bows to no one.
So we find out in this movie that Godzilla has been attacking people, throughout the world and these different cities and stuff like that. And initially we don't understand why he's doing that, because in the last movie that we saw, he was basically defending us from the other, titans that were, fighting him and stuff like that. So don't really know why he's kind of all of a sudden he's basically gone rogue. And so these group of humans, they get King Kong and they bring him down to this place called the Hollow Earth. And basically they're trying to lure him to help lead them to find this energy source, so that way they can try and stop Godzilla. And along the way, of course, King Kong and Godzilla, they fight multiple times because they just have this big, rivalry going back, to the early days of the Titans and stuff like that. So obviously they fight multiple times throughout this film. And, two of the biggest fights, you saw little bits and pieces of it, early on, in the trailers. They fight, on the water, and then there's a big fight, in Tokyo, later on that you see. Won't go into super. There's not really a lot to spoil with this film, so I won't go into the specifics of who they fight, even though a lot of people, already probably know that at this point just because of the leaks and the movies, it's been out. But I won't go into that. And that's pretty much then who wins the fight. I won't tell you guys who, but there is a clear winner. So first off, as far as this movie goes, I will tell you guys, right away that the best parts of this film by far are the fights between Kong and Godzilla. Like I said, just a second ago, two of the main fights, they end up fighting when they're on that boat and they fight in the water. So that's one of the big fights. And then later on in the movie, they end up fighting in Tokyo with all the neon lights and stuff like that. And that was really cool. So the fights are absolutely amazing. That is why, everyone is going to see these movies. I mean, let's be honest. We want to see these two titans fighting each other, and that's what we get in this movie. So there is a lot of really, really, cool action when those two, are fighting on the screens. And it's so crazy. I mean, just I was saying this to, my fiance, because we actually watched it on HBO Max again, last night, because she didn't get to go to the movie with me. And I was just saying, man, CGI has come such a long way. Imagine if this movie, I mean, we have older Godzilla and Kong movies, but it was just imagine the CGI, back then and now what it looks like. It's yeah, these creatures look like they could actually be legit. So some great work as far as the CGI and stuff like that goes. And like I said, the fights, definitely by far the best part of the film. I actually got to go see this movie in theaters, so this was my first time going back to the theaters in a while. As I had just told you guys recently, most of the Cinemagic branch around here closed, so two of the theaters that I used to go to, they were gone. So I actually ended up going with my buddy Rob. We went down to go see this one in Massachusetts. I had actually been to this theater once before last year to see The Lodge, so this was my second time going there, but I had not seen a movie in Dolby Cinema, and that was really, really cool, especially seeing this, type of film, just this big summer type of blockbuster movie, and just there's a shit ton of speakers in the theater, so that was really a lot of fun. When these guys were going at it, my seat was vibrating, and that just, really added to the experience for me. So I would say, if you guys can, and if you're able to, theaters are open up around you guys, I would highly suggest seeing this movie on the big screen, because I think that adds a lot to it for sure. For the most part, again, with this movie, and it's kind of been a trend throughout, especially these recent Godzilla films, I didn't really care too much about the human aspect, of this film. And, I know a lot of us, it's yeah, we're going to see Godzilla and Kong because we want to see these two big badass creatures, fight each other. That's what we're here for. But with this movie, like the human aspect does take up a significant part of the story, and I know they got to put something in there because like otherwise it would probably be like a half-hour movie or something like that. But yeah, it takes up a significant portion of the movie, and there's just some aspects where it's like I just really, and it's not even necessarily I think some of the actors like fault. Like for example, Millie Bobby Brown. You know, she's in the film and she has like this whole kind of like separate side story with her. This other kid, I think his name's Julian, I forget his last name. He was in like Deadpool 2. And then this guy who's like a conspiracy theorist, like podcaster guy. And they have this like little side quest. And I just really didn't care about that part of the film, like at all. And I don't think it's like really Millie Bobby Brown's like fault. Like you know, she's obviously, I think she's a great actor. But in this movie, it's just like that whole part just didn't really work for me. There was a few aspects of the human, you know, part that I did like. I did think the whole interaction and the relationship between the little girl and Kong was actually really good, and just like the connection that they had, and there was actually some emotional moments with that. So I thought that was actually good. So, you know, as far as that goes, Rebecca Hall, you know, I thought she was pretty solid, and Alexander Skarsgård, he's kind of helping lead the expedition to take Kong, you know, down to this like Hollow Earth so they can get this like energy source, and he's kind of leading that. So I think that part of it, as far as the human aspect goes, I was okay with, and I thought there was like some moments there. It's like, okay, yep, you know, I can make like some connections with these characters. Granted, there were some other people in that group where it's like, yep, don't give a fuck about you guys at all. But there was some bit. It's just that there's just way too much where it's like, I don't care about these characters. I don't care about this, you know, this side story that they're going on. Can we just get back to more of the monsters? So, and that kind of like affected the pacing a little bit for me, like especially early on in the film. At times it was a little draggy at parts. Whenever there are fights and stuff like that, like obviously that was a lot of fun. And by the time we got like to the third act, because I was getting a little worried there, but by the time we get to the third act, it really picked up for me there, and I really enjoyed like that whole last aspect of the film. So that I think kind of like saved it for me. So like I said, I mean overall, you know, it was really fun to go back to the theater, especially it's been a little while since I've gone back, just because there hasn't really been a movie where it's like, oh, like I feel like I really need to see that like on the big screen. And this is definitely one of those movies. So one, I highly suggest you guys, if you can, go check this out on the big screen. The fights in this movie, I mean, just those alone, I think are worth seeing this, just because it's, you know, these two iconic creatures, you know, fighting each other, and the fights that we get throughout the film, there's the two, and then there's like the last like final fight with another, you know, person mixed in there. Again, I won't say who it is. And we do get there is a clear-cut winner as far as like the fight goes between Godzilla and Kong. And I won't tell you guys what it is, but yeah, I was pretty happy as far as like that turnout goes. I know some people obviously will be disappointed depending on who you are a fan of, but I was pretty happy with that. So overall, yeah, it was just a really fun experience as far as, you know, getting to see this in Dolby Cinema. That was really cool. Just like it really immersed you into the movie. And then just seeing, you know, this kind of big summer blockbuster back in the big screen after being so long. Yeah, the human aspect, again, wasn't that great. But overall, it was still like a fun movie. So if you go into this, you know, just expecting kind of like a popcorn fun blockbuster type of movie, I think that you will, you know, enjoy this. Overall, as a score, I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10. So I do recommend you guys checking out. If you guys have seen the movie, definitely let me know what you guys think of it down below in the comments. You know, I'm really curious what you guys think. As far as, you know, the three like new Godzilla movies, where would you rank this one out of those three? Let me know down below as well. Please give the video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate that, guys. When you do it, leave a comment as well, as that helps too. And guys, please make sure if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.